gorillas that can do sign language, and time travelers. He's a legendary actor with over 40 years of experience. You may know him as Winston Zeddemore from a movie called Ghostbusters and the Ghostbusters franchise. Sergeant Darrell Albrecht from a movie I really love called The Crow. Warden Leo in Oz, also movies Hand the Rocks and Cradle, Congo, Basketball Diaries, and he's a Saturn Award winner for the TV show, the relaunch of Quantum Leap. He's also the pride of Benton Harbor, Michigan. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for the amazing Ernie Hudson!
Woo! Hello, Ernie!
Hey, everyone. Hello.
Hello, Ernie!
It's a little low.
Yeah.
It's a little. You're in good shape. I'll hopefully I won't have to help you out of that. Or just go.
You might. We'll see by the time we finish. Good.
So I have to give you a big thank you. One of the last times I saw you, I was on a TV show called Comic Book Men, and you were good enough to guest star on an episode of that show. We made you drive around in an ice cream truck and selling comics out of the back of an ice cream truck. Not the greatest idea, but you know, if you don't
It was fun. It was fun. It was. I think we were in New Jersey or something.
We're in New Jersey, yeah, Red Bank, New Jersey.
And it was, it was, I'm always looking for something different, and that was definitely different. You know, you roll with it, and whenever I expect too much, then I put my own thing. But I just kind of go open-minded, and but you guys were fun. It was fun.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We did make you dress up in a good humor ice cream outfit.
Yeah, that too.
And we figured, you drove the Ecto-1, you drive an ice cream truck, and this would be a great idea. Our great idea was selling comic books out of an ice cream truck, not ice cream, comic books, and it failed miserably. Not due to your fault, just I blame my friend Walt Flanagan for this harebrained idea that didn't work out so well. But I really want to thank you for being a good sport about that. One of our highest rated episodes, for sure, and kept us I believe that was season 5. So kept us going for a couple more seasons on the AMC network.
I'm glad to help out there.
Yeah, and in the end, it made me look really cool as well. So I really wanted to thank you for that. I read a pretty cool quote that kind of relates to everything we're doing this weekend at Comic-Con. You do a lot of these Comic-Cons, and you met and hung out with the great Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Back when he was alive. Stan Lee, one of the greatest creators out there. May he rest in peace. I read a quote that you kind of credit him with maybe your pursuit of higher learning or college.
Yeah, it was great to reach a point in life where I got to meet Stan. He was always very gracious, and but yeah, I didn't. I grew up in a place where education wasn't necessarily valued. Nobody in my family had graduated from high school, let alone college. And but I finished high school and I got married, and I married a young lady who was an avid reader, which I wasn't. But my introduction to really reading and getting into stories was the Stan Lee comic books. I mean, his name was
a lot of us can relate for sure.
Yeah, and I love those. And of course, I got into college and went on and graduated and went to grad school and other stuff. But I think I credit those comic books as it's people want you to read and study and do a lot, but you really need to be into something. You need to find your entryway, and it's different for everyone. So that was sort of mine, and it sort of opened the door to everything that's come in life.
Yeah, and he was a great guy to see at conventions. Very inspiring.
He was always very gracious. When someone has been that successful and did the amazing things that he did, and yet still be humble enough, he would always come by and say hello, and that to me that says everything, because you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those really special human beings, and I was really blessed. I am blessed to have been able to spend even a moment with him.
Yeah, a legend for sure, and inspired a lot of people, us included. So
Yeah.
very cool. So acting, I think you started I think you mentioned you grew up in Benton Harbor. I'm from Ann Arbor, so I'm a Midwesterner.
Ann Arbor is a town that has money.
Yeah.
It's a town that has no money, so only separate sides of the state. Ann Arbor is the eastern side, and Benton Harbor is the western side, but it's all homes.
Yeah, I also grew up in South Bend, Indiana, which wasn't too far from Benton Harbor, so I had a
Yeah.
little taste of that as well.
Yeah, another college town.
Yeah. My dad loved college towns, I guess. So I think you wanted to do something more. So I think you joined the military.
Yeah, I joined the Marine Corps. You know, I was really happy.
Yeah.
Woo!
Marine right out of high school, you know, because place I grew up at, when you hit 18 years old and you realize that you haven't studied hard in school, you don't really have very good grades to show for it, but you're now an adult and you have to make a living. It's like suddenly it becomes real, like, oh my God, I got a life that I have to live. What am I going to do? And the military was a way to, I'm going to join the Marines. And so I joined the Marine Corps before I even finished high school. I graduated in June, but I hitchhiked to Chicago from Michigan with a couple of friends, and we went over to Chicago and we signed up for the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And they were really nice, and they waited for us to graduate. So we graduated from high school, and 2 days later, we got shipped to San Diego. So that was, I was very, very excited about that until I got to the receiving depot. And so anybody who's been in the Marines, you know, that first night there is a nightmare from hell. But it was an experience. I have asthma, and so I was discharged early and didn't get the chance to go to Vietnam. So by the time I would have finished my tour in the Marines, I graduated from college. So, but I was really excited about joining, and it helps when you study in school and learn a few things. I never heard of Vietnam, so when I joined the Marines in '64, nobody talked about there was a war. Nobody talked about Vietnam. It was really kind of very secretive. And it wasn't until I got there that I realized that we were at war, and everybody in my platoon was gearing up to head to Vietnam. But I didn't. I got out early. So, and I always had mixed feelings about that. I'm very, very thankful that I'm still here, and the guys I went in with, a lot of them didn't come back.
Yeah.
But
after you got it, shortly after that, did you discover theater?
I got out of the Marines, and I was trying to figure out. I was back in that little town with no job possibilities, and I was seeing a girl who was having difficult family life, and so I decided to marry her to save her. And then I married her, and I realized why family life was so difficult.
After the fact. Sure.
Okay,
Sure.
so
Yeah.
anyway, it was a great time. And then before I realized what was happening, she was pregnant, and I had a kid, and then I was like, oh, and then so okay. But life happens, and then I had to get serious, which comes a point where we all have to realize this is, you better take it serious, because no do-overs as far as I know. And so we, my then wife and I, we went to Detroit. And, we had a great plan. We were going to go to, we read in the newspaper that in Alaska they were looking for barbers. This is in 1964. And they were paying barbers $15,000 a year.
In Alaska.
In Alaska. So we're going to go to Detroit, we're going to go to barber school, and we'd both be barbers, and we'd go to Alaska, we'd make like $30,000.
Yeah, up in Anchorage or Fairbanks or Juneau,
5 years, man, we'd be so rich. And I think the first week in barber school, she cut her hand. And so that was the end of her career.
Yeah, okay.
But she did go on to go to college and ended up getting a PhD and did very well. And I discovered theater, and that sort of gave my life direction and purpose, and that's what I'm still doing. Still trying to get it right. Still trying to get it right. Sometimes when you find something you love, it's like you really want to believe you're really good at it, and you're really the best at it, but you know that you can just get it right. And so, and I think with the work that I've always done, it's like trying to kind of get it right, to make it, because it's the real. It becomes the work is the value, performance. Sometimes we think it's the money, but it's not really the money. It's the money when you have no money. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
But at
Nice
a certain
that.
point, it's about how do I bring this to another level of place, and so yeah, I have no idea what we've been talking about. But,
Yeah, the theater. I mean,
the theater,
you discovered something you loved. What sparked you about the theater? Was it entertaining people or playing other roles or?
Well, you know, I grew up. My grandmother raised me. I didn't know my mom. My mom died when I was a baby.
Yeah.
And I didn't know my dad, but my grandmother raised me, and she really wanted me. She always said, you know, make something out of yourself, to do something. She always wanted to do something that would make her proud. And so when I got out of high school and the Marine Corps didn't work out, I was working all these jobs. I was an insurance salesman. I worked for a telephone company. I was always trying to get a job, but I was really awful at everything. You know, you have those jobs when you know that as soon as they find out that you are totally confused, you're going to get fired. And you kind of do it, but it's a grind because I worked in factories. I did a lot of, and then one day my wife and I, then wife, we had a big argument about something. And I just had to get out of the apartment. I got out of the apartment, got in my car, and I was driving around, and I was going past a building that had a marquee, and there were people lined up outside, and I was just kind of curious about it. So I parked the car, got in line, and asked what was going on.
What's this line
And
for?
I don't want to go home. I know that. So
Yeah.
what's happening?
Yeah, it can't be worse
And
than
they
go
said
home.
it was a play called I think it was Papa's Daughter. It was at the Detroit Repertory Theater. I'd never seen a professional play. I did see some plays in church.
Yeah.
But this is a professional theater, the Detroit Repertory Theater. So I got in line, and we got inside, and I sat down, and then the lights went down, and the curtain opened, and this play started. It was about a father whose daughter he was a preacher, but she had gotten pregnant, and he disowned her, and then all the drama started, and in the end they reconciled, and it was over, and I was sitting there crying. It was so wonderful, and so it's like, it was the most amazing thing. It was like, it was bigger than life. These actors, it was just wow. It was just, and I thought, man, if I could do that, wow, but it was like, it's too big. I can't even ask God for that. There's sometimes things are like, I can't really go to the moon. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just more than I could ever dream of. But wow, I couldn't stop thinking about it. So that fall in college, I needed an elective. So I took this theater class, and the class was held in this theater. And when I walked on stage, I just knew this was like home.
Yeah.
I just knew this was, and after that was over 50 years ago. That's all I've ever done. I've never had to work outside of my profession as an actor. But it was one of those things where you kind of go, God, if you just let me do this, I will always honor it. I'll always be on time. I'll do my best. I promise.
Yeah.
I promise. And it's one of those prayers you should also remember to ask for money. You know.
Yeah. It's hard to pay the rent. I'm sure passion
but I've
and,
worked a
and
lot.
prayers.
Yeah, and I've gotten roles, but no, I've been very, very blessed. So that's how I discovered theater, and I never imagined doing anything else. It was the only thing that I felt I could do. You know, I think if you can do something well, like, you know, if you can build something, you know, then you should probably build that. You know, I can never build anything. You know, those boxes, you know, that was, my kids were small, and you order this thing and you gotta assemble it, and I sit there looking. I got cars, I don't even know how to do stuff with it other than drive it. But theater, acting, I sort of know that the part of me knows, you know, and that is, man, that's everything.
Yeah. Do you remember the first production you got involved in after
Yeah,
that?
which is probably why I'm still acting, because the first production I had the class, the acting class, and we were doing a production called How the Snake Got Its Rattles. It's an African folktale. And in it, the snake is being terrorized by all the other animals. And so the snake goes to heaven and he asks God, this is not fair because, you know, and so God gives the snake poison to help him defend himself. And the snake decides to go down and starts killing everybody. And so then God decides to fix it, and he gives them these rattles, so at least they know that before the snake, he has his rattles. It's a children's film.
Oh.
And I play God. So
Awesome.
You got the voice of
yeah,
God,
I mean,
so
after playing God, it's like, oh man, this is where I need to be. Yeah, it was. I did a lot of theater. I did 10 years of just. I lived on stage. You know, I lived on stage. I worked with a couple of theater groups. I had a theater of my own. I just love theater, and then from that, television.
Yeah. How did you transition to on-screen work from the theater?
I went to Yale School of Drama, and
You had a pretty cool class there. Meryl Streep and
yeah, Meryl Streep was Sigourney Weaver was there. And after the first year at Yale, I came home for the summer. I did a play in Los Angeles, and when it was time to go back to school, Gordon Parks was doing a movie called Lead Belly that Paramount Pictures was doing, and I got cast in that.
Yeah.
I got cast. It was really sort of. I didn't know anybody in Hollywood. I went out there. I was trying to get an agent, and everything was just going really badly. But I really, really wanted to get an agent, and there was I don't know if some of there was a television show called Room 222. I don't know if you guys remember it. And Michael Constantine, who was in My Factory Wedding, he played the dad. He was a star of that show. Then I went to a party with a friend, and he happened to be there. I didn't know him, so I just went up to him and introduced myself and asked if he would introduce me to his agent. And he said, sure, okay.
Yeah.
And I think just the fact that I had the audacity to ask.
Yeah, he took the initiative.
So he set up a meeting with me and his agent in Beverly Hills. So I had this meeting with this agent, but I was staying at that time at my brother's house, and I was staying at my brother's house, and my brother's wife took my clothes to the laundromat, and she forgot and left them.
Oh no.
So when she went back to get them, they were gone.
Yeah.
So I really had pretty much the clothes that I had on my back. But I got this meeting with this agent. So my brother had a green, like a blue jean pant and jacket. So it was kind of cool. But I didn't have anything to wear to meet this important agent.
Yeah.
So I had to wait for him to get home because he happened to wear that day.
I was like, yeah, quick, give me that suit.
So he took off his suit and his little jean outfit, and I put it on. The problem is my brother is 40 pounds lighter than I am.
Oh.
So
It's a little tight.
the jacket was a little, but I went in, parked. I went to Beverly Hills, and I never really kind of been in that area.
Yeah.
I was a little uncomfortable going to Beverly Hills, and I parked in this garage. I went in to see the agent, and I waited for 2 hours. Finally, the agent decided to see me, and I walked in, and his desk is here. You go through the door, and I sat over there. And then he said, "Listen, the only reason I'm seeing you is because Michael Constantine is one of my important clients, and so you can forget about working out here. You'll never work in Hollywood." He says, "You go back to Detroit or wherever the hell you come from. There's no work for you out here." And so, and I said, "Well, but he said, no, you're never going to work." I said, "But listen, if I can just maybe I took out my picture and resume. If I could just, give." He said, "What am I gonna do with that shit?" So I get that in the mail every day, and he held up his trash can. There was all these envelopes of people sending headshots in, and I've been trying so hard just to get in, so I got up, and then he just ignored me. So I had to walk past him to the door, which is the most embarrassing thing. But I walked there, and I saw the secretary, and I was still holding the picture, and I just been trying. So now at this time, I had a wife and kids in Minnesota that I'm telling to hold on.
I'm working on it.
So I went out to the parking lot to get the car, my brother's car that I borrowed, and I went to the guard, and he said it'll be 75 cents. I never heard of paid parking. This is in nobody pays for parking, and I didn't have any money. And so I said, "But I don't anyway." He said, "Why'd you park in the first place? You shouldn't brought your ass in here and park." And I lost it. I just started crying. It just, all that stuff.
It came out.
Oh my God! And I couldn't go to my brother's house. I couldn't go. I just couldn't face him. So, at that party where I met Michael, there was a girl I met there who gave me her number. So I called her, and I went to see her, and we drank a bottle of something. And I don't normally even drink.
Yeah.
But so I went home, and the next day, I get this call, and it's Paramount Pictures, and I'm like, Paramount Pictures, and they said, "Well, Gordon Parks wants to see me." What I didn't know was the girl who I went to see, her dad was Gordon Parks.
Oh.
Tony Parks. In the picture that I was trying to give the agent, I apparently left it on her piano. So that night he came over to dinner, and he saw my picture and resume.
Yeah.
And he needed to cast his part, and so Paramount called me in to see Gordon Parks for this role in Leadbelly, and so my brother was gone. I didn't have a way to get there. So how fast did you get here? And I said, "Well, I'll be there in 15 minutes." Well, it was impossible. I couldn't get there in 15 minutes. But I didn't have a way, and I ran down to a friend's house, and I said, "Man, I got to get to Paramount, and I need to borrow your car." He said, "Man," and I just snatched his keys, jumped in the car, drove to Paramount, sat there. Gordon Parks came, and he says, "Well, I saw your picture resume." He said, said, "This is a part where Roger Mosley is starring as Leadbelly, but it's important that his adversary, they're in love with the same girl, and so there's this big dance, and you have to drive this team of horses, and it's a race. He races this thing, and you driving this buckboard, and then there's a big dance, and so it's a highlight of the movie. You got to be able to dance." And he said, "So it's really important. Do you dance? Are you a dancer?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I can dance." And then he said, "Okay, you can dance." I said, "Yeah, oh yeah, I can dance." And then he said, well, now, do you know anything about horses? Because it's really important, you know, it's part of this role is, and he said, have you spent much time around them? I said, oh yeah, no, I know horses. I know all about horses. I know them a lot. So then he says, okay, so well, wait out in the hallway. So I got to the door. So I said, Mr. Parks, you know about that dancing? I mean, I know I'm not a dancer, but he said, so you really don't, you're not a dancer, you don't know. I said, well, but I can learn a dance. I can really learn. I try really hard. I know I can do it. He said, well, what about the horses? I said, well, I don't really know a lot about horses, but I can learn. So I sat in the hallway, and then the producer came up and says, well, Gord really likes you, so he's going to give you this role. So I got this role in Lead Belly, which is starting the same time my second year of Yale was starting. So instead of going to Yale, I went to Texas to shoot Lead Belly. And it was great. The dance turned out to be great. Exhausting as hell, but it's great.
Yeah, but you learned the dance.
And the horses, I had to drive this buckboard. They brought a stuntman out from LA, and so I was to drive this buckboard through these gates. And when I got through the gates, he falls off the wagon onto the ground. And the stunt guy said, "Oh hell no, man, I ain't doing that." And Gordon said, "Well, we really need it." So I said, "Oh, okay, I'll do it." So the stuntman said, "Dude, do you really want to do that?" And so I drove the horses through the gate, fell off the wagon, screwed my back up.
I got the shot.
And I see the movie now, and I'm standing up in the wagon, driving this in the wagon, it's going over now. And I go, man, I could have been killed.
Yeah, but you weren't.
But I wasn't. And I did the movie and was friends with Gordon until he passed. He was a great director. He did Shaft, and he was really a wonderful director. But so that's how I started, and more than you asked for, I know.
No, not at all. So many great lessons. They're very inspiring. One, for the parties network. Two, always say yes, even if you're not so sure that you should be saying yes.
Yeah.
And three, go drown your sorrows in alcohol, and you never know what's going to happen. For sure. And leave your headshot everywhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We got an audience mic here. I don't want to hog up all the questions. So I know there's some questions out in the audience. So Jonathan,
Well, before we start, was there an important question that you had that since I dominated all the time?
No, not at all. Those were those. Yeah, no, I'm gonna kick it off to the audience. I want them to ask for sure. This is Jonathan. He's been at every panel.
Hi there.
What do you got, Jonathan?
Hi there, guys. Hey there, Ernie. My name is Jonathan Patterson. I'm one of the people that usually asks a lot of good questions, but this one it's kind of funny because I also know for a fact that you got to work on a show called Infinity Train because when I first heard your voice, I thought, hey, wait a minute. Somehow, basically, the Ghostbuster of Winston is now in this show? Right. Man, he transcended from basically becoming a Ghostbuster into a legendary king in a way. What was it like working on that show as that character?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I played a corgi, a dog, and but it was a lot of fun. It was just great. You know, most of the jobs, pretty much all the work I've done, it's been. I always find something that's really enjoyable. I'm so thankful to get a chance to do it, and that was one of the shows that really just had a great time doing.
Oh, thank you very much, there, Ernie.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Jonathan.
You're welcome.
Come on up.
Thank you. Put this on here. Never mind.
Yeah, just snap it out there. Just
I
hold it.
know,
We'll just pass it back. You're good.
Oh.
That was to Jonathan's question.
Yeah.
I haven't done a lot of. I've done a fair amount of animation.
Yeah.
I'm doing the new Toy Story now. I'm playing.
Oh, yeah! How about Carl?
But that was so. It was really special because, and I thought that show was really very original, and it was fun to do. So.
Oh, thank you very much, Ernie.
Thanks, Jonathan.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. Well, I've watched you in many things. and was really pleased to see that you were also voicing Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
Oh, yeah.
Star
But I think that probably one of the things I enjoyed you most in was Quantum Leap.
Oh, nice.
Really, I love the show. I'll date myself. I love the show, the original show with Scott Bakula, and watched it to the end. So I had actually, and I feel ashamed to admit this, but I had no idea the range that you had just from some of the roles that I've been able to see you in limited, and you really were the glue, in my opinion, for that show. I wondered what you had come into. I mean, as far as what you knew about the show, and what you thought about a reboot.
Yeah, well, I was a fan of the original Quantum Leap. I didn't watch all the episodes, but my son, I have 4 sons. We'd watch the show from time to time, and so the fact that they were, redoing it, and the character I played, Magic, was in the original series. Yeah, I was really happy to see it. And Raymond Lee, who starred in it, he was a guy who was a leaper. I think he's such a talented, wonderful actor. The whole cast was. But I just hope CBS would give it a little more time to sort of find its voice, and I think we're getting there. Sometimes you do these series and it seems like they go into it not really being clear if they're going to stick with it, and unfortunately they didn't stick. I think it would have been a really good show if they had given it a little more time.
Yeah, but you came out, you won a Saturn Award.
Yeah, I did one, yeah.
Which,
yeah.
like the Geek Oscars, so that's pretty
Yeah, it was kind of cool. Yeah,
validation.
anytime for the acting, it's validation. Yeah, it was great. It was great to receive.
Yeah, amazing. Yes, your question.
Hello, Ernie Hudson. It's nice to meet you.
Great to meet you.
I was wondering, because I met, like 15 years ago, I met Dean Stockwell, who was also on Quantum Leap.
Right.
It was great.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, how was it working on that show in general?
Yeah, no, it was, I love the show. I love the cast. It was a great cast. And the producers, it was, I've done a lot of different TV shows. I was hoping that would last. I just signed on to do the spinoff to, my wife is here, I can't remember names. What am I doing? Boston Blue. Yeah, is that the name? Okay, I'm doing the show, I can do it.
He'll tell you where to go.
I have no problem with lines, I just can't remember the name.
Just make sure you show up for the right show.
Yeah.
Good.
So, but you hope when they get into it, and I think this one they really are committed to, but sometimes Quantum Leap, I just felt at the beginning, we had the Raymond, who was a leaper, and Caitlin Bassett, who they were engaged, which kind of made it a little complicated because, and then they decided not to have them engaged, and so they were not really quite committed. I didn't feel, but it was great to be a part of it. I loved the work. We got a couple seasons out of it, and I do a show called Family Business. We're in our 6th season now. It's on Netflix, and that's fun to do. Something totally different, but yeah, I love the show, and fans seem to like it too. It's just that, like I said, I don't think the network was really committed.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Thank you so much nice to meet you.
Sure, nice meeting you too.
Thank you. And Family Business, you guys jumped into based on a book series.
Yeah, based on, in fact, Carl Weber. I think he's an author, and he has an urban books publishing company. I think he's here. I think he has a table here, and he has comics and a bunch of other stuff. So Carl is here. He's a creator and writer. Yeah, it's a fun show to do.
Amazing. How you doing?
Hi. So I have a bit of an oddball question. You made a guest appearance on the cartoon / live action show, the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, and I just wanted to know how and why.
Yeah, well, for actors, I mean, it's work. So a lot of times people think, some actors say they only do things because it fits some sort of ideal they have. I mean, I work, you know, so I don't think that deep into, unless it's something I really hate. I mean, I would never do that, but, or something I'm really, I object to. But otherwise, it's Super Mario, and it's fun. It's, you know, it's like, why not? So, and I think I was a Ghostbuster, if I remember correctly.
You weren't officially called a Ghostbuster. But
Yeah, I was
played a ghost hunter.
Played a ghost hunter, yeah.
Lawyers.
So yeah. Sometimes you got me. I was on what was it? The Masked Singer.
Oh, yeah.
And I was there.
Oh.
Going, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah.
How did I? Why? And I go, because you said yes. That's what, you know.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to say no, and not to say anything wrong with the Masked Singer. It's just that, why am I here? That was
But Masked Singer, one of the hottest shows on the planet right now.
Yeah, it was fun. A lot of people saw it.
Yeah,
But I still don't know why I'm here.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a singer and I'm not one of the judges, so but anyway, but that's, if that answers why, because why not?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Then why not, my friend?
Hello, Mr. Hudson. My name is Christian Velasquez. I love you in The Crow and Ghostbusters, and of course your appearance in Comic Book Man
Thank you.
with Mr. Ming Chen.
That was a highlight,
My my question is, did you read Caliber Presents #1 to prepare for the movie The Crow?
Oh,
The first appearance
Yes.
of the Crow.
The Crow. Yeah. Did I? So to what?
He was asking if you read the comic book, the Caliber
Oh.
Presents #1. That's the first appearance of the
first-
Crow, or any of the James O'Barr Crow comic books to prepare for the role.
No.
Oh, God.
That's the honest answer. No, no, I didn't. I met James O'Barr, and in fact, I don't think my character's even in.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah.
So yeah, no, I really didn't. I knew Brandon, and the reason I wanted to do it because I knew Brandon, and he had asked me to do it. So to get a chance to work with him
Yeah.
was but it wasn't because of the comics. Even though I understand, I've seen the comics since, and they're pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And I never understood why they tried so hard to continue that franchise,
Yeah,
not
it's
just
kind
have
of
the
a one and
Crow
done.
bring somebody else back. And
Yeah.
why they keep going back to Eric Draven, that's
Yeah.
what bothers me about
Right.
it. But no,
Yeah.
I didn't read.
Plenty of tortured souls out there.
Yeah, but I mean, really, but
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I didn't know Brandon asked you specifically to play that part. How did you guys meet?
we met. I was doing a television series called Broken Badges in Vancouver with Miguel Ferrar. I don't know if you guys know Miguel
Oh yeah, yeah,
Ferrar. He
legendary
was-
actor, recently
yeah,
passed, but yeah.
recently passed, and they grew up together. They were friends. They've been friends for a
Yeah.
long time. And Brandon was coming over from Hong Kong. He had just done something in Hong Kong, and just hung out for about 7 or 8 days. And I got to know him fairly well, and he felt my character Albrecht was, you know, and I just thought it would be really kind of fun to. Well, first of all, I wanted the job.
Yeah,
Anyway, but I know that it would be fun to get a chance to work with him and really, get to know him better. And he was an amazing actor and just a great young man. Very thankful to have had the experience of working with him, but it just breaks my heart that he's not around.
yeah. Yeah, and I got to work with Alex Proyas as well.
Yeah, Alex is. Yeah, I haven't really followed his career recently. I'm not sure but he is a brilliant director, and I think what he did with The Crow was. In fact, I saw his demo reel before I did the movie, and I thought, wow, it was amazing. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Your question.
Hello. Can
Hi.
you hear me? Okay. My name's Julie, and I said I loved you yesterday because I really do. You have an amazing voice,
Oh,
and so that's one of the things I love about you the most. I was wondering if you ever have or plan to do audiobooks, because I think you'd be great at that.
Oh, that'd be brilliant.
I kind of do what people. I'm not a person who sort of goes out looking for work. I'm not. Some people are very good at it.
Yeah.
They have their social media stuff. They do that. I'm not doing it. I mean, I'm here. I'm not hard to find, and
So you're
so
basically not working.
So I just but I love doing it. I've done a few
Okay.
over the years, And
I'm gonna
I'm
listen
always
then.
open.
I want to listen.
Yeah,
This is my first question at a Comic-Con ever. So.
Oh, great. That's
Oh,
all
really?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, yeah, I'm always, there's, Walter Mosley. I did a couple of his books. So, yeah, and they're good books too, so.
Anyways, I love you guys. Not one Ghostbusters question, so
It's so good.
please, you got the mic.
Hi, my
Hi.
name's James. So I enjoyed you in all your movies, and I noticed, you've done a lot of guest spots in a lot of shows that I've seen over the years, too, like Cypher, Totally Piles, Arrow. And I know you did mention earlier, you do a lot of work as work. Was there ever like a show that maybe you were kind of, or something like you specifically was like, oh, I want to be on that show or something, I want to guest spot on something like that? Or,
Yeah, I'm sure that, yeah, I mean, I don't know if they really wanted to be on, I did Tales from the Crypt. I think I wanted to do that show. But, I don't know, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff on
Yeah,
there.
it's, I think probably as an actor, maybe some actors only do certain things, and it's probably a good strategy. I was a single dad for a long time, and I just need a job. That line that Winston says about this steady paycheck, and I mean, like, I'm ready to go to work.
Yeah. You weren't acting when you said that line.
So I didn't, maybe if I had maybe been more strategic in my career, but I just, somebody's paying.
I enjoyed everything.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I did want to ask about Afterlife. What was it like getting that call? Did Jason Reitman call you? He was like, hey, so I got an idea.
Yeah.
I got a script.
Well, Jason's like
I need
family.
you back.
Yeah, Jason's like family. I mean, he was, I think, about 6 when we did the first Ghostbusters movie. He's a sweet guy. I mean, I really, really like him a lot. His dad was, Ivan was a brilliant director. I love working with him. Not the most touchy-feely guy. You know what I mean? It's like you're here because he's good at what he does, and I like to think I'm good at what I do. So let's work. And so you bring your best because he demands it. But with Jason, I just love Jason, and so you want to bring the best because
you like him.
I want to see him succeed.
Yeah, you want to do your best for him.
So, so when he called and they were doing the movie, we had, and I know you guys know, we had talked about another Ghostbuster for years, like it was never going to happen, and I had kind of given up. And then in Afterlife, it was actually happening, and I remember the first day on set when it's like, oh, are we really doing this? And see Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd in their jumpsuits, Annie Potts, Ernie.
Yeah.
It was like, oh wow, it's really happening, and that was. Yeah, it was very, because this Ghostbusters has been a part of my life over half my life. I mean, over 40 years I've been, who are you gonna call? So it's, and I thought it was kind of behind us, and now I see all the guys in their jumpsuits and little kids in their jumpsuits, and how people connect to the movie in a weird way, and latchkey kids who came home and watched the Ghostbuster cartoons, and it means a lot. So Afterlife was sort of bringing it back.
Yeah.
And that was very, very special.
It's amazing. Your question.
Hi. Hi, my name is Sean. I was actually curious if you guys are gonna maybe do a third movie after Frozen Empire. Like,
You know,
you guys have any idea if there's a
I would. I don't know anything official, and I'm probably the last guy. In fact, fans know more than I do, but I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and every once in a while they'll call me and ask me for a favor, like Masked Singer. We do this. Anyway, but so I don't know, but I would imagine the movies have done well. I think in the beginning they probably thought it was going to do that Marvel money, $1 billion. Well, it's not that kind of movie, but in time it'll make $1 billion, I'm sure. But I think it did well enough for them to still feel good about the franchise, and probably there'll be more. And honestly, I don't want to see it if it if it isn't relevant or if it isn't, just to do another movie just for another movie, it doesn't make any sense. So if they come up with something, I'd love to do it. Okay.
The other thing is, I know like from the 80s and then today's special effects about CGI, like ghosts and whatever, like how do you guys feel about it trying to, pretend that there's something there, I guess?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're in the business of pretense, but
Yeah.
it helps when you have practical, props. I mean, you got something you can see, you can
Act against.
act against, but that's, you're getting paid to do, I mean, but it's always, I always find it much more fun when you can actually react to stuff.
Thank you, man. Christiane, you got the last one.
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
I'm Christiane. Nice to meet you, Ernie.
Nice to meet you.
My question is for you. I'm a big into like supernatural, and I was interested in if you have any experience in ghosts.
You believe.
You believe it? Yeah. I believe in ghosts. I believe in probably, I mean, as a kid, I believed in ghosts and I was afraid. Now, I think probably there's something going on that we only have 5 senses, so if it's not part of our 5 senses, it doesn't exist. Even though we're finding all the time things do exist outside of our realm of perception. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, we're all going to find out for sure soon or later.
Oh.
If you did find something like a Bigfoot or Sasquatch, what would you do with it?
Well, Bigfoot, I'm not sure. I don't want to do too much with it. But I think, yeah, I don't know. I think it would be.
Are you inviting over for a Coke, or are you just,
Yeah, no,
capture it
no.
and put it in a zoo?
Snap a photo, sell it.
Yeah. If any friends or anyone passed before me, please don't visit. Right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Before we wrap up, is there anything you're working on now that you can talk about?
Well, we talked about the new, what's the name of it?
Boston Blue.
Boston Blue.
Have to look out for that. And,
Oh.
Family
you-
business and,
And the new Toy Story, which I'm excited for.
yeah, I'm excited about it as well. And,
yeah, you're doing the convention here and there, which is awesome.
yeah, from time to time, and
Yeah.
just I'm just trying to now, this life, I mean, I'll be 80 years old this year. And I would say,
Oh. Amazing.
You look amazing.
But I don't say it for that as opposed to just remember, just trying to find, to remember to enjoy just the now, just try to get as much of living out of we're here, and not get so caught up in stuff that takes us into this imaginary. What ghosts, to me, that's a mental thing. Believing in something that's not real, but it's real to you. That's some kind of phantom.
Yeah.
Being angry about stuff. There's no just. You got family. You got people who love you. You got people you love. You got. Just really appreciating being here with you guys. It just means so much to me. And I just want to just keep reminding myself to not forget just how important this is. I never thought we would be here together in this room, but here we are, and it's really special to me. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Well,
Ladies and gentlemen, Ernie Hudson, everybody.
Woo!
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ernie.
And thank you guys. Stay tuned. You have a couple more panels here in this room. And go see Ernie's table for sure. Thanks, guys. All right, guys.
Thank you. Woo! Thanks, Ernie.